Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to the Connecting Soul Beings podcast, offering you inspiration, tips, and learning about tuning into the language of your soul and gain a deep, intuitive understanding of your inner self, your guides, and the animals around you, so you are able to live from your heart with grace, love, and gratitude. We bring together spiritual leaders, energy healers, and awakened humans, so we're able to collaborate and help you feeling loved, joyful, and free by providing clear direction on how to connect soul to soul. Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to Connecting Soul Beings podcast. It is my absolute honor to introduce to you Pauliina Salmenhaara. Pauliina is based in Helsinki in Finland, and she's an absolute beautiful soul here to share her wisdom with you. She is a wellness advocate who prioritizes self-care in a way that combines the practical with the magical. Pauliina and her experience as an alternative therapist, vegan chef, spiritual practitioner, and mother culminates in her online platform, Home of Wellness. She wants you to know that you are your own healer and that it is possible to nourish yourself on the levels of body, mind, and spirit, and to find your way to a happier, healthier, and more meaningful way of living. Now, in this episode, we actually talk about the delicious ways of spiritual healing to find yourself and the joy that you bring to yourself and others. Enjoy this beautiful episode and feel free to leave comments, have questions for us. Both Pauliina and I will be here to answer them for you. Well, hello, Pauliina, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Bianca. Really good to be here.
It's so lovely. I mean, you're even color coordinated. I love the fact that we have the purple background and your hair is purple, which I absolutely love. You look beautiful today.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel good today, actually.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Yes, that's what we want. So I'm really, really honored to have you on the show. It's been a long time coming. We met through a beautiful community, and I've always admired what you have done in your life so far, the bits and pieces that I've learned about you and from you. And it's just been really wonderful how we've connected. And I've been really drawn to your energy and, you know, how you actually also show up in the world every day. So it's absolutely a pleasure to have you so that, I can share your light with the rest of the world as well, which is beautiful.
Well, thank you. And likewise, the moment I heard you introduce yourself in that community, I was like, oh, I wrote the name down and then immediately I was like, I want to connect with you. And I also have a lot of curiosity and respect for what you are doing and your ability to communicate with animals. It's just, it's amazing. It's a skill that I wish one day I can also experience.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, that ability everybody has. So you can certainly experience that one day, I'm sure. And with what you are also experiencing, you know, in this lifetime and what you've been through, I'm pretty sure you have already got that a little bit. So that's beautiful.
A little bit.
Yes.
But nowhere near where I would certainty say that I know what, for example, our daughter's cat, I mean, they both live with us, what he is communicating. Some things are very basic, but they're obvious. Anybody would understand when he asks to play. But when I attempt to have that kind of deeper inner communication with him, it's like you and I, we're like on different planes.
Yeah.
So I haven't found that connection. But I've also thought that he is my daughter's best friend and companion.
Yeah.
They have that very unique bond. And I'm kind of like the grandmother there. And I do some of the playing and the hugging, and I love to lie down with him on our heated bathroom floor by the sauna and just like cuddle. So we have shared moments like that.
Yes. Yeah. It's almost like, it always reminds me when we have that beautiful bond with our pets. It's like you're familiar, you know. I don't know if you're aware of it, but in the sort of like the witches world, it's their familiar. They have an animal with them that's always
Mm,
there, and it's their guide and their
yes,
companion and healer.
yes,
So yeah, and there's always one person in the family as well that has a deeper bond with a pet.
yes.
So yeah, but it's wonderful to be the grandmother role as well,
Yeah,
because
definitely,
playtime, and then you can
definitely.
give him back to to your
Yes,
daughter.
exactly. Yeah, because this cat is so playful.
Yeah.
And my idea of my familiar is someone a bit more like wise, who will just be looking
Mm.
around and giving me like information, and a glance will show me something over there. And
Yeah.
I did have a cat that I connected with very much when we lived in Singapore. His name was Tiglu. It has no meaning. It's made
Mhm.
up with leftover Scrabble letters. And
I love that.
and we had a special bond.
Yeah.
We had something.
Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful. Beautiful.
Mm,
Yeah, it's amazing. The bond that we have with our animals is just, yeah, it's one of its
mm,
kind,
mm,
definitely. So you are in beautiful Helsinki
mm.
in Finland, amazing place. Share a little bit about you, because I find it fascinating where you've been and what you've done in your life, and I would love
Mm.
for you to share that with our audience as well.
Sure. So I was born in Finland, the only child of two Finnish parents. And when I was 6, we moved to Belgium because of my dad's job. And from there to Sweden, where I did high school. And then back to Finland, where as a 17-year-old, I started university and was studying basically something that I had been groomed to my entire childhood, which was international relations, diplomacy. At one point, I spoke 7 languages, and after university, I did actually end up my dream apprenticeship job at the Foreign Ministry in the Department for Human Rights. And after the 6 months, I realized that this kind of politics and human rights work is not for me. And I switched over to the other side of the table and went to the Finnish League for Human Rights, and felt that that was very much more concrete work with results that were more tangible and immediate. And then my husband got a job in Shanghai, and it was a no-brainer because I had actually applied for a job in Shanghai from my husband when I met him at a job interview. And he wasn't able to offer me that position, but we did end up getting engaged after 1 month of me being his project assistant. I was most efficient. And that was just a summer job, but not a summer fling. So we got married in 20. How do these years go now? We got married in 2000. And then in 2001, we moved to Shanghai.
Okay.
And there I was doing volunteer work at orphanages, and also helping to fundraise for children who were living under the poverty level for their medical and educational needs, and working on a PhD on human rights between China and Finland. How about that? And
Wow.
I realized that not my thing at all. Like that PhD, I was doing it because I thought that my father would love me more. And I'm telling you, he loves me a whole lot. He cannot love me anymore. But in my head, I thought that I need to do this, and then he will approve of me even more. And I told him that I'm going to stop the PhD. And I expected it to be like a big discussion, but he was like, okay. And I realized that I had been fretting over it for no reason. And then I had a 30th crisis, and that was quite extended because when we moved then to Singapore in 2007, so I was 32 then. So it was quite a long crisis. And that was for me the opportunity to blank everything. So I didn't tell even half my friends that we had moved to Singapore. And for 6 months, I pretty much went into a space of silence. I mean, at that point, I had 2 children, and they were 1.5 and 3 years old. So as much silence as you can have with kids that age. But I really just did a lot of meditation. And one day I heard that my mission on earth is to facilitate people's path to healing.
Wow.
And at that point, I was already studying things that I felt I needed in my own life for my own self-healing. So various alternative therapies and meditation and doing yoga and learning about vegan food. And as a part of those courses, which I was doing just for fun, I had to practice on people to get my certificates. And I realized that people were really leaving my space with a glow, and I was loving it. And I started to connect more with spirit and to channel also messages from animals, actually. One of the first voices I channeled was an animal, a dog.
Lovely.
I had forgotten that detail, actually. And it kind of came in, it was quite a big thing to all of a sudden be tapped into all of that. But I had a very wonderful, lovely, down-to-earth teacher with a great sense of humor, Adrienne Kane. And through her, I was introduced to shamanism. So I delved into that as well. And I would say that I was at my healthiest and happiest then. Really felt like, okay, this is what I'm meant to be doing. I had trained simultaneously to become a vegan chef, and there came then that crossroads where I felt like, pardon me, like I need to make a decision. And I very consciously decided to delve into the world of the food business. And I told everybody, I'm going to do this, but my goal is to do spiritual work. And I'll probably do that when I'm 50 or 60. And I want to be a witch in the forest. And I felt like this is a part of my life contract that I just have to do. And it was that I need to run a successful business. And that coincided then eventually with a time when my husband left corporate and said that it's time for me to support you like more fully, because I was doing this all alongside whilst being with the kids at home. My husband traveled a lot and I was pretty much overworked all the time. And he was extremely supportive of every new whim I had, like things where my parents, like when I told them that, oh, by the way, I'm not working towards that diplomacy thing anymore, I'm studying massage now. It was a little moment of silence at the end of the phone line as they kind of assimilated that information. And I was like, I'm going to let this flow and unopened as it does. I'm not going to try to prove myself or explain myself, because I feel inside all of these various paths, and I had a lot of tentacles out, are going to merge at some point. And then it will become clear to everybody like that you can be very spread out. You can look very messed up and all over the place to a lot of people, but there's some purpose to that if that's the direction that you're being called towards. So it's taken a lot of patience and trust in the process, in myself, and letting go of explaining myself and trying to prove myself before I have something to prove. Although if we view it as a path, right, that it's all a part of the journey, then there shouldn't really be such a definitive end point. But I think we need it. We need that some kind of affirmation. And for me, that was a successful business. So we ended up moving to Bali with our suitcases and a dehydrator and not really knowing what we were going to do, but trusting in the process and telling our children that this is an adventure. And let's give it a go. We're going to expose you to a new way of education at the Green School, it's based in the jungle, and it is based in, it's very free-spirited. And let's check in a few months and see how everybody's doing, to see how we're going to continue. And 6 months in, we bought Living Food Lab from the founder, who was Avara Yaron. And it was a varung, which is a very small like cafe in a bamboo hut in the Green School in the jungle. And it was a raw vegan school cafeteria. And with no experience in restaurant and with running a team like that, we bought it and became co-owners, my husband and I started to run it. And it was like a vision I had always had. Like I had always seen myself running a hole in the wall vegan food business in a school. And it manifested in this form. And then we opened another cafe, a restaurant, co-working space in Canggu, and then a second outlet at the Green School, because we became the most successful and popular, most loved food vendor on site.
Wow.
And we were very, very happy. Like, even if I was in that business mode, in Bali, it's easy to be a spiritual person and to, wear feathers and have lots of jewelry and go to ecstatic dances and do that whole thing. And I felt very much in my role there at the restaurant. And then came a situation where in one of our family checkups, the girl said that this is actually not for us. This school is without boundaries and we need guidelines and we want to move to Finland. And they convinced us. I believe there was a PowerPoint presentation involved of all the reasons that we should move to Finland. And eventually we said, yes, we have to honor our children. Like it's their future, their education. And they had some very good points on that PowerPoint. Yeah. So we moved to Finland and it was very difficult. And at that point, like I was lost, because all of a sudden, having moved from living amongst greenery, having windows open to lots of lush plants and palm trees, and having that indoor-outdoor kind of living, to be in an apartment block with a gray apartment block on the other side, very close. I felt like everyone was watching me. And I was no longer daily moving in between our 3 restaurants and cafes. I was at home and running it from Finland, and I just felt pretty suffocated. Like that was a dampened period that I eventually got through, and now I'm very happy to be in Finland, and it was absolutely the right thing to do. In between, we've had the pandemic. We had to close one by one all of our cafes and the restaurant, and it's been for sale now for a few months. This morning I woke up to negotiations between 2 buyers on furniture.
Wow. Yeah.
So I'm still running the business side every day, even if it's closed, but there are things to do still, and we're doing catering. So we also did a floating breakfast catering today. And so now I'm in a phase of my life where I'm refinding myself. And I know that I shut off the spiritual side quite a bit when we moved to Finland. I no longer had the space to practice. Like, we were living in a smaller place, and I didn't even have a proper space for my altar. And that felt very restrictive, and like no place to really go and pray and meditate and be. And it's good. I view all of these things as good learning experiences. And okay, well, that's one thing I can't live without. I see. Well, I'm going to have to make that happen. And so here we are now. My eldest daughter has moved out, and I'm in her room, and I have 3 altars going on at the moment. I have one which is for Beltane. So Beltane was some weeks ago, that midway point between the winter solstice and the summer solstice, and spring, the blossoming of new life. So that's one altar, and I have another altar here, which is my moon altar. So every new moon, I do a new moon ritual and set the intention for the month. And my intention is the same as for last month. So that's happening over there. And I have a third altar for my other daughter, who is right now sitting in an exam. She's doing her finals. So I've got her photo, I have crystal, I have 2 candles, and I've written down like all the blessings for her as she sits the exams.
Beautiful.
And crystals all over the place. And like that's the environment that I need and that I was missing. And it's been like a year of wanting to find myself. Not knowing, like knowing who I am, but how quickly we can, and efficiently we can lock ourselves away, even if we don't want to. But sometimes circumstances take us in that direction. And now I'm doing a lot of unlocking, a lot of wanting to access that place again, and doing things that, like, I've gone back to my jewelry, which I didn't wear in Finland. For one thing, sometimes you reach like a place where you're so confident and so in your power and light that you don't need accessories. So I was in that point for a long time, and I didn't want to wear them in Finland because, for one thing, it's really difficult to wear this kind of stuff with a winter hat and scarves for like 9 months of the year. They get stuff and masks and everything. It's like you've got stuff happening everywhere. So now I'm back, and it's a way for me. I'm confused how to fix this earring. It's a switched image. Anyway, I'm back to the jewelry, and it is for me like a way of powering up, amping up my power. So,
yeah, beautiful. Wow, thank you so much for sharing. That was amazing. What a beautiful story. And so many different journeys within that you've gone through. And yeah, I love the fact that you were saying about, you have a journey that we have to have some sort of end goal. We need to see what an end is. But when we're actually looking at a journey, there is actually no ending, because like you're saying as well, you go through a stage of feeling really empowered and you're confident and you're yourself. Then you go through moments where you may need to lock yourself away, and then you come back out of it. So working through those layers again, it's refinding yourself every single time. So that journey probably never finishes, even though we think we have an end goal. But the minute we are about to reach that, there is something else that comes up where we have another layer or another piece that we may have locked away for a while that we then need to open up and review and work on. And that is so beautiful. And I loved also, before we actually started the recording, when you said, I'm coming back to myself again. And you can see that, I personally see that shift in you. And it's so wonderful that we are able and very powerful to be able to get back to who we are, so that we can find our own spark again.
And joy, whatever it is. We all have different ways of expressing ourselves, and especially when we tap into the spiritual side, sometimes it's quite easy to think that being spiritual means being very still and calm and wise appearing. But for some people, spirituality can actually be silliness and just being like funny and humorous and jumping around, bouncing around like a bunny, things like this. So, and I've had a reminder of that in a tarot card reading that I went to last week, where the end goal was like, tap into your playfulness. And at that point, I was very much wanting affirmation that I want to see that my goal is more towards the healing and the spiritual. And it says play, like the final card. And I was initially disappointed. I was like, well, okay. But then I came home and I did my new moon card spread. And again, this playfulness, the sun dances I've got here, and I'm being playful. And I was like, well, at core, I am very playful. And a lot of people relate to me because of my sense of humor, and because I can be very serious. I can be dead serious, and I can go into a space where I'm really off. But I do like to sprinkle in humor there to keep it real. Because personally, without humor, I would not have survived. Too many dark moments in my life also, where without humor, yeah. So I'm embracing that okay, like that is very much a part of who I am at core, and that might just be the thing that makes me relatable to others then.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And it's so interesting too, because when we do dive deeper into the spiritual side of things, that having fun and finding the humor in things, and even laughing out loud about the things that we've done, is so important, because it really lifts us up, and it really allows us to not always be so serious. That is also a thing that a lot of people are learning. Life is not serious. It's not about being serious. Maybe take yourself less seriously, and then find the joy within that, because that really helps us to raise our vibration, to raise our energy, to automatically feel elevated and more energized as well. What is it about spirituality that allows you to find passion in? Because I feel that when you talk about spirituality, there is a passion that comes forward, and there's almost the word that comes to me is a burning desire for you to explore more and to go deeper within that. What is it that really inspires you to do that?
There's a few things. For one thing, it's delicious. When you are connected to spirit and really go on a journey, for example, or really connect with somebody on a deep level, it's just so delicious. I think it's life at its most meaningful and best. And if you can add onto that the layer of service, of being able to facilitate somebody towards greater health and happiness, deeper connection, helping them connect more with their life purpose and meaning, I find that very fulfilling.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. It's delicious.
And also having experienced it, it's a state of being where there's so much more richness and depth and emotion and connection. And I certainly want to live in that kind of a space more than disconnection and mindlessness, if you think about the opposite side of that. And it also, spirituality also is a communication with our inner selves and with whatever other beings and light entities we want to connect with, who are here to guide us and help us and give us messages. So those are also so incredible when there are these synchronicities and these signs that we feel it's just for us. It just makes life more fun and exciting, and knowing that, okay, when I go for a walk today, I wonder what's going to happen. And it could be nothing happens, but that's also a state of mind, because the other thing that's linked to that is gratitude and being able to see beauty in simple things. and to get joy from something that is always available for us. Like for me, it's the sea. Like I can just see it from my window if I stick my head out. But when I walk out the door, I walk 3 minutes and there is the sea in front of me, and that's amazing. But it could be something like now in spring, it's a miracle after a long winter of seeing first the buds, little purple and red, a bit of dark green, brown, and then starting to open up. And then suddenly there is that bright light green that is bursting forth. And before we know it, it's the whole tree has just come to life. Like, it's incredible. So I'm feeling the spring vibes very strongly at the moment, because I feel it's very much the process I'm in as well.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it's a beautiful analogy as well for how we can, grow and develop, but also redevelop and rediscover, who we are as a being. And that we are not just as a human evolving. I also feel that we are also evolving at a soul level. And that really helps us to connect even deeper and further with the spiritual, like the different spiritual realms, like you said before about, it's not just connecting with yourself, but with all the different light beings that we have around us, the light beings that we can connect with, and from what I've experienced, the light beings that are in all the different realms, for people that may not necessarily understand realms, I see them as different layers within the universe. There are different, not necessarily levels from high to low, or vice versa, but it feels like they're almost like different rooms, when you connect into them, and each of these rooms have a different kind of light being, the same as we have different kinds of humans who are differently developed, have different experiences and different roles. And that's how I experience and see the different realms as well. So when we do connect, it's not just with ourselves, because we open up the channel to the spirit realm. And because we are learning as we are connecting, the same way as we're learning from our fellow humans that we have around us, we also learn from the different entities and the different souls and the beings. And therefore, at that core level of the soul that we are still evolving. And that's also why I believe that because we are a human in this lifetime, and our soul has that experience to be a human, that then also helps our soul to develop in a different way, to further understand and to understand more and more deeply about the human life and what we can do as a human as well.
Yes, I don't think I could have grown in some ways if I hadn't been able to tap into messages from spirit animals, elders, wise ones. I have some, there's quite a few that I communicate with regularly, some for specific instances. And what I like is that they keep it very real, very direct messages, and also humorous. So there's things that I definitely wouldn't have understood or been able to develop or bring into my own work if I hadn't had that communication. And if somebody is now listening and thinking that, I don't have a spirit animal, or well, how can I tap into that? There's the very basis is tuning into your inner voice. And that's usually the voice that comes up first and the gut feeling one, and the one which, if you then bring in logic and start to analyze it or think about it from a different perspective and then go with that side, you'll usually find that, oh, I should have gone with the first thing that came up. And it's a muscle to strengthen and develop. And I've been doing that now because, as I said, I went into this vegan restaurant business, and it's a lot of practical stuff like happy customers, unhappy customers, finding the best supplier at the cheapest rate, getting new menus out, and very, very practical things. And there wasn't that space then, especially when we moved back to Finland, to then be so connected to spirit. It was stressful, and there were many things happening. There were multiple moves happening at the same time as well. So I know what it's like to be disconnected as well, and having been disconnected for other phases in my life. And it's very comforting to know that there's always at least that inner voice, but there's also a whole group of entities, beings out there who are ready for us to help us if we just make a connection. So I'm very grateful for them. And sometimes, like there are two spirit animals, they come in a pair. I once neglected them for an extended period of time, and they were like, oh, so now you want us? Oh, I see. Okay. And you have to remember us a little bit more than you have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. They certainly can do that. Yeah, I've got a beautiful spiritual team as well, and if I haven't been connecting for a while, yeah, they let me know.
How do they let you know?
They're quite firm. I mean, they're always, like you say, pretty direct with what they're saying, and at times they also have questions for me. But when I don't connect for a little while, they are very firm in, okay, you have to listen. Almost like you must listen to this because we haven't been able to tell this for a long time. And it is imperative that you do XYZ or say XYZ. So it's fascinating how that communication happens because, like you say, it's very clear, it's very direct. For me, sometimes I also get a lot of the feeling of the information and the feeling of the weight of the information that comes through. Yeah, they can be very funny. And I've got one guide who literally jumps in front of me if he wants my attention, and he's very jovial and, it's very funny. Always makes me laugh. But when they are in their way seriously, then yeah, it comes through with a lot of weighting, and there is a importance and almost a demand coming through. That sort of energy will come in as well. The animals are very different in how they come through with their energy. I feel that the animals that are with me are much more fun and nurturing and easier going in that sense as well. Their energy is of a completely different vibration.
Right.
The other spiritual team, with that weighting, they come through with a lot of importance, and it's also familiar, very familiar, because it's like I'm reconnecting with my family in that sense too, and it's like I'm coming home when I'm with them. But yeah, there is a different importance to it in what they are working on with me in this lifetime.
Right. I think it's interesting because for me, my power animals, off the top of my head, I think there are 8. They come very much from the shamanic world. And you were talking about the different layers. For me, it's very clear because I'm very much in the belief system of shamanism, where we have the middle world, which is this reality that we're living in, and an upper world and a lower world. And the upper world energies are very much light and crystals, and there's spiritual guides that many will recognize, like Jesus, or I'm blanking out on names now, but from Hinduism, deities, and the lower world is more like forest energy, earth energy. Me, I don't really connect with fairies and elves. That's not, I just never have. But it's wise. I have some wise elders there who are very down to earth, and lots of animals. And these animals all are very different. They have very specific powers to them, and they come at times when I'm journeying, and I'm asking a question or asking for help, and then a new one will appear, or the same ones will come and help me. And now some of them I've worked with for so many years that it's automatic. Like if I need to do a middle world journey, which is something to do with, for example, assisting someone who has passed away, their spirit to move on to the next realm, to dissociate from the middle world, from this body, to accept they have died and to move on to the next phase. I have one particular animal who's always there for that, to protect me.
Yeah. And I recognize that, because they do have their individual roles to play as well. Each of the spirit team, they have, they don't really come through with names per se or with a title, but I do feel that they have a different role to play in how they work with me in this lifetime. So I really recognize that when you say that, that the animal helps with that transition for that human. I very much relate to the fairies. Very much relate to the elementals. When I walk out in nature, I see them, I hear them. I always ask, how are they going? Who here in this nature reserve, wherever I am, on the beach or wherever, needs my help? What can we do? I want to know how you are. And there's always, different beautiful beings coming through that are just amazing.
See, that's fascinating for me, because I never connected to that.
Yeah.
Trees, yes. And I hug trees here in Helsinki as well. And like moss. I absolutely love moss. So like elements of nature, like nature as a whole, but just not the elves and the fairies. They just have not. I have a fairy on my window.
Yes.
So it's not like I'm not like open to it. But now it feels like she's talking to me.
But I also feel that we sort of have a choice in who we are going to connect with and who we want to be guided by for this lifetime. And I think also that is to do with what they may want to learn from us as we are here in this lifetime right now. Because as much as we are learning, our spiritual team is learning at the same time. And often my spirit team has said, oh, but we don't know that about human life. So you need to tell us if you can or can't do something, or if this is outside of your spectrum, or, all these things, because they don't see that they have any limitations or any, our human body is different too. They don't have that physical, element to them. So sometimes they don't understand that. So that's, we're teaching each other in that sense, which is really fascinating to me as well. But I love that fact, the upper, the middle, and the lower, and I can recognize that too, because some of the shamanic learning, I'm learning that right now as well. At the same time, I've recently even acquired a drum, which is hanging here behind me.
Yes, I see. It's beautiful.
And it's just really beautiful to work with those energies and to hear that sound and to feel that in my whole being. It's just amazing, because it brings these, for me personally, I don't know how you experience this, I'd love to hear that from you, but when I open up to the energies of, the shamanic ways, and I really tune into that, it just completely grounds me, and it fills me with all these beautiful earth energies, and really allows me to connect at a much different level compared to when I connect to my spiritual team, who are a team of, souls that have passed on, guides, galactic beings, light beings, masters. Sometimes the angel realm will come in as well. So a very different feel to connecting to them compared to, having all these beautiful earth realms and the animals and all these, just the elementals. And there's a different learning too, and the energies that come through, the healing that I will then bring forth for the people that I work with and the animals that I work with is different too. And it becomes a real beautiful pool of different tools that we can utilize, different energies we can bring in depending on what that person or what that animal needs in that moment as well.
So do you leave it open? You're with your customer, and then you'll see your client or the person you're helping, and you'll wait and see which of your spirit guides appears in that instance?
Beforehand, I open up the channels. Beforehand, I ask my client if they are open to us connecting with them, because I always ask for that permission.
Definitely.
And then I always ask, look, whoever is here, whoever wants to come through, whether it's my client's guides or my guides, from whichever realm, as long as it is for the highest good for everybody involved, then, that comes through. So I ask that beforehand. And then when that moment is there, I tune in and I then automatically feel who's here and allow that to,
Yes, got it. Yeah,
it's like a co-working collaboration session. With the spirit world. It's like a co-working collaboration session with the spirit world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I definitely, because in the spiritual world, there are a lot of different, it's a buffet, really. And now it's become very popular. And that's good. It's great that people are waking up. Usually when the masses awake, they go through a process. And now that process is very visible on TikTok and Instagram and social media. So you're going to see a lot of ladies who look just like me, for example. And it's funny because part of the reason I stopped doing this was because I saw that, like, I felt that I discovered it outside the age of social media. That's like what I created, like, myself. And then we went to Bali a lot since 2001. So I was in like those spiritual spaces for quite some time. Same thing as with veganism, for example. When I first started talking about veganism, because I am vegan, it was really to deaf ears, blank eyes, weird looks, and now all of a sudden all of these things are trending. And I was like, gosh, well, I don't want to look like a trend. I mean, I've been doing this for more than a decade and more. I actually started meditating and doing yoga before I was pregnant with my first daughter, so like more than 20 years. And I felt like, well, nobody's going to take me seriously because there's all these young people there with not a whole lot of life experience who are coaches and doing stuff that I was doing, having gone through quite many years of training and just having more life experience behind me. So that was actually a part of the reason that I also withdrew a little bit. And now I'm like, well, I don't care if it's a trend, because this was me. This is all stuff that I've had for like many, many years and that I've used as tools. So I'm not going to worry about that now.
No.
And that's also empowering. And another thing that kind of distracted me was when my daughters were at that age where I became an embarrassment. So, I mean, they grew up with a mother who had crystals and sage and singing bowls and went to ecstatic dance with them, mortified them. And like, they grew up with that, and it was the norm, and they would bring friends home and show friends my drums, and there was a moment when they were proud of it, and then there came a moment where they were like, okay, too much. And so I dampened myself for their benefit. Like, I can understand that it can be pretty cringe and embarrassing to have a mom who's different from your regular, like, Catholic school moms. And so I'm realizing now that was another reason also that I dampened it. And so the types of spirituality, there's many different ones, and I love that there's so much choice and variety. So I feel like it's a big mix. But at core, when it comes to Native American Indian shamanism, that's where I know my soul is. And I know it every time I hear song or drumming, or I see visuals from that world and from signs that I've had coming into my life pre my shamanic studies. I'm like, that's my thing. And I've now been waiting for about a decade for the teacher. And I know that at some point I'm going to end up in America and be learning from a wise one. And I'm looking forward to it so much. I mean, there have been times when I've been Googling and asking around, do you know anyone who I could go and study with? And the time has never come. Like, the time has come for me to be away from home, even for as long as 9 weeks in the US, studying to finalize my vegan chef studies, to go and do other courses. But that one has not yet manifested. And gosh, some things you just have to be patient with for so long. And it can be frustrating at times, because I know that's my thing.
Oh,
and
thank you for saying that.
What do you mean?
Thank you for saying that. It can be frustrating.
Yeah.
You know, we are being asked to be patient more often than not. And that can be so frustrating as a human, when you're going, okay, just bring it on. What are you doing, right? So and people don't often talk about that part, that it can be frustrating, and it is a learning, and it's hard work sometimes.
Oh my God, this is hard work. It's daily practice. Every single day, every morning, throughout the day, in the evening, or it starts to rust away and you lose the connection. So when I went to that tarot card reading, I was feeling like I know I'm ready to come out of, get all these layers that I plastered on myself, and I am ready. It's going to be a fantastic reading. And then she's got like, patience, and you have to wait still before it and I said to her, but I've been doing nothing but waiting, for 2 years, and I've been acting, I'm exaggerating, but I really felt like, again, more waiting. How much longer? I am ready now. And she's like, but the time's not right now. It's not yet the time. And I know it. There are some things that have to happen in my life still. And like in my family, like my daughter needs to graduate, and that's not going to be until maybe the autumn. And I need to sell my business first. I need to sort up Living Food Lab. Like that has to be all done and dusted. I need to have healed. I need to go through a new round of grieving. I've already grieved so much, but there can be no proper grieving and letting go until it's actually sold. All the furniture is out, the storage is closed, everything's closed. And only after that can I do my proper healing. So I've already done a lot, but that ultimate grieving and healing is still ahead of me. And until that's done, I can't really be fully in the role I'm in, but I'm already a lot in it, very, very much in it. So I feel grounded in it, and I'm already starting to do that work. So I'm putting up my course on manifesting the true you at the same time as I am going through that process. So I'm hoping to have it up on my website this week. But I'm also learning how to do a website. And how to do all the back end things. So the spiritual work also like comes with a whole lot of practical, and a whole lot of stuff that I'd rather not be doing.
100%.
And you and I were just saying how it's work. Like what happened this morning was I woke up, and because I have a business in Bali and I have a daughter who lives in another, I mean, she's only 30 minutes by bus away, but I want to know how she's doing if she sent me a message in the morning. So I usually check my phone first thing just to see, like, is there something I need to respond to before I do my spiritual practice? Usually not. Today there was, and it was straight, like with groggy eyes, into like looking at Excel sheets of items we are selling and pricing and so on. And I didn't do my morning yoga. I didn't do my morning meditation, and I was just feeling weird, like unfinished. I was like, no, this is not how my morning's supposed to go, because normally it's get up, go to the toilet, wash my face, brush my teeth, put on my yoga clothes, do yoga or go to the gym, do a meditation, do a journey, then slowly go to the kitchen and I shower first, and then I have a nice breakfast, and I feel like together I'm ready for the day. And today I missed all of that. I went straight to the kitchen then and continued with the Excel sheets and communication. And I then made time for myself, because I knew, especially doing this talk with you, I can't just come in ungrounded. So actually what I needed this morning was a lot of grounded. And I saw how Mother Earth just like pulled me into the soil, and the moss was over me, and like deep grounding.
Beautiful.
And that's all it took. So sometimes you don't need a lot, but it's consciously deciding that realizing I am too spaced out now. I'm not present. I need to ground myself. That is such a key thing at any given moment, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. Grounding is one of the, most important things that we do for ourselves. Being so spiritually connected, that is something that it's a must. And like you say, when you don't do that, you're completely spaced out. I always say we're off with the fairies.
Yes.
Completely out there, which is beautiful at times, and sometimes we may not want to come back because it is so beautiful there, but we still have to be here and fully present for ourselves and the people that we are serving. It's vital. It's just as vital as your heart needs to beat to be able to stay alive.
Yeah.
And grounding can be done in a variety of ways. The way you've just described it, that's just absolutely beautiful.
I'm actually working on my next courses on grounding. So I'm doing a mini course on grounding. I'd like to do one on like protection, and then another one on like calling in, then like spirit. So I'm starting off with the grounding, but I need to get my manifestation course out first, and I'm so excited about that. And now that we can also meet people live, I can do some vision board sessions in person as well. And I'm really looking forward to that new phase.
Yes, me too. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
It's so wonderful. Yeah. Oh, wow. We can talk all day.
And we didn't even get to food.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But we'll do that next time. We'll do
Next
the food,
time,
nutrition, the body, the mind, spirit, all connected with nutrition.
Yeah, so many things to
so many things.
Relish discussing.
This is absolutely beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is wonderful. This is like, it's just like chatting with a friend about favorite topics. I mean, what could be nicer?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for the audience, I would love to ask you, is there one golden nugget, one tip that you can share that people can start with today that they can implement in their everyday life that may help them a little bit moving forward?
Well, going with the theme of finding our true selves, I would say that pause, stop 3 times today. Set a timer for 3 times. And I'm coming up with this exercise on the spot. Set a timer for 3 times today. for, let's say, like for me, it's now 12:16. So I could set a timer for 1:33 and 5:40 and 8 p.m., for example, and put a ringer on it. And at that point, when it rings, no matter what you are doing, stop. Even if you're with people or you're working, stop and close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths and listen to what your inner voice is telling you. And it could be that immediate thought of like, I don't like the way this conversation is going. If, for example, you're in a meeting, it doesn't have to be like a wonderful, huge, big thing. But the idea is that you learn to listen to what your body, mind and spirit, your soul is communicating to you at all times. But because we are so busy doing, we don't stop enough to listen. But once we do, we start to hear that inner guidance, which will allow us to connect more with our inner selves, which will allow us to connect more with the purpose of our life, which will allow us to manifest that through expression, which can be the career we choose. Maybe there's a revelation to make a career switch. It can be through the words we choose or relationships we choose to continue in or not, or to create new ones. There's all kinds of messages that come to us in those moments of silence when we stop.
Beautiful. I was actually feverishly writing that down. Because that is the best, right? When you actually allow that already to channel through, that is exactly what we need to hear. Even if it's the one person that hears this today and goes, oh my God, that was exactly what I was looking for. And they're going to implement this, and then they will see the changes that will happen just by doing this every single day. That is amazing. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. I'm glad if it brings such a joy. So thank you. And thank you also. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I would love to have another one.
Beautiful. Well, we would love to have you back. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. And for the audience and the listeners, all the details for Pauliina will be at the bottom of the podcast, all the links, her new course that's coming up. So you can connect with Pauline absolutely there. And also make sure you leave a comment below so that if you have any questions or anything like that, then both Pauline and I can answer them for you as well.
Definitely. I would love that.
Beautiful. Thank you. And we'll see you soon again.
See you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to yet another inspiring episode of Connecting Soul Beings podcast. I love receiving your comments, stories, and feedback as they are truly inspiring. So please take some time to comment on this episode below. If you love the show, you can help us by sharing and liking it via your favorite podcast platform and our website. And if you feel that we can work together in helping you to connect to your inner self and the animals, then hop on over to biancadereus.com or find me on LinkedIn, Facebook and Instagram under Bianca de Reus. Thank you again so much. Say hi to your pet from me and stay connected with love and grace.